Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.
Oh, hey, you guys, trip on this.
Let's trip.
Trip on this.
So, there's an American POW who was nicknamed the Incredibly Stupid One by his Vietnamese captors. Upon returning to the United States, he provided the names of over 200 POWs, which he had memorized to the tune of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Crazy, right?
Man.
So I looked it up, and here's the story behind it. On April 6th, 1967, 20-year-old Hegdahl, his first name is, let me see if I can find it anywhere on here. His last name is Hegdahl, guys. I don't have his first name. It's Hegdahl, was knocked overboard by the blast from a 5-inch gun mount from the USS Canberra in the Gulf of Tonkin, 3 miles off the coast. He swam until he was picked up several hours later by Cambodian fishermen who treated him well, trying to cover for him. His shipmates did not report him missing for 2 days, so the commanding officer did not organize a search. Hegdahl was handed over to Vietnamese militiamen who clubbed him repeatedly with their rifles before moving him to the infamous Hanoi Hilton prison. For you guys that don't know, Hanoi Hilton was a really fucked up prisoner of war camp over in Vietnam. It was really bad. So the interrogators first believed that Hegdahl was a commando or an agent. His story of being blown overboard seemed unbelievable to the interrogators. Hegdahl thought he would be much better off if he pretended to be of low intelligence. Hegdahl was physically maltreated for a few days before he was able to convince his captors that he was of little value for their propaganda campaign. His bumpkin demeanor and youthful appearance aided in his ability to convince them that he was no threat. When asked to write statements against the U.S., he agreed but pretended he was unable to read or write, which was believable to his captors. Thinking they had someone who would be easily turned to their cause, they assigned someone to teach Hegdahl to read. After Hegdahl appeared to be incapable of learning to read and write, his captors gave up. Later, he came to be known to the Vietnamese as the Incredibly Stupid One. With the help of Joseph Crecca, a U.S. Air Force officer and fellow prisoner, Hegdahl memorized names, capture dates, method of capture, and personal information of 256 other prisoners. That's crazy, right?
Hell yeah.
256 other prisoners. Their personal information, their method of capture, their capture dates, and their names. All to the tune of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Wow. So he comes back, right? I won't read the rest of it. It gets a little long. It's a little lengthy, but he comes back and he had memorized all that. And he was able to, report that to his commanding officers.
Yeah, that's good information.
And they were able to go back and get all the POWs because after his discharge at the Paris peace talks in 1970, he confronted the North Vietnamese with his firsthand information about the mistreatment of the prisoners, their names, and where they were located. And then they were able to negotiate their release. Old MacDonald Had a Farm, E-I-E-I-O, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He
that's
went full
correct.
retard.
Right? Exactly.
Nah, that's dope.
He pretended like he was he was slow.
Man.
Wasn't that stupid, huh?
Nah,
Not at all.
not at all. 256 names, bro. Not just their names, the personal information, the method of capture, and the capture dates, bro. It's a lot of information, dude.
There's some power in those child nursery runs too.
There's some power in repetition. I
You
believe
remember-
we've talked about
you
it.
remember those shits for your
Yeah.
life.
And we talked about repetition, the power of it.
Yeah,
How
that's it.
people out there with this maximization and everything that's going on because it's constantly being repeated.
Yeah.
Repetition. We talked about, is there a spell going on? Is there some shift in consciousness? What is going on? Him and I have had in-depth discussions about it. And he brought up a great point. He said, brother, a lot of it has to do with repetition. And it's constantly being fed to us all the time. All this different bullshit. But that in particular, so it's prevalent every day. It's right there in front of you, in your face. Anyways, that's what I got right there. Look up his first name, guys. His last name, Hegdahl. And I thought that was a fascinating little piece of information there.
Oh yeah, that's trippy.
It is indeed trippy. Not as trippy as the hospital when you're on mushrooms, but it is indeed a trip.
Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.